Today, I'm going to share with you a technique called the known knowns. And this technique is used to manage assumptions and to validate what you do and don't know at a certain point in time for decision making or taking actions. This is huge in times of uncertainty where we have to make a ton of assumptions. And the challenge for us as leaders is when we walk in and we're being asked to make a decision, especially for a team or to give direction, we want to know very quickly what's the quality and the completeness of the information that we're being presented with. And a lot of times teams come in with things that are actually not validated. They are pure assumptions, they're guesses. And they don't share with leaders that that's the state of that piece of information, that it's an assumption. They act like it's a fact. So anytime I hear it could have, it should have, last time it ought to, everything that follows that phrase tells me what's coming out of that person's mouth is likely an assumption. The question is, has it been validated yet? This technique helps to identify very quickly what's the quality and the completeness of our information at any moment in time to enable you as a leader to make a better and well-informed decision. So let's walk through first how the technique works, and then I'm going to give you an example so you can apply this with your team. You need really two things. You either need a whiteboard or flip charts that has the quadrants, or you could do it by each of the word pairings. And you need sticky notes, because sticky notes are our friend. And I'll get to that in a moment, how we use those. Now, in this example of the known knowns, everything is a pairing of two words. You've got known known, known unknown, unknown unknown, and unknown known. Here's the way this works. The first word in the pairing tells you whether or not you're talking about things ahead of time. Did you identify this before you took the action or the decision? So an example of that is these two at the top that start with known. That means I'm talking about these ahead of time in my planning stage. And the two that are in the bottom, unknowns, means I didn't talk about them. They've happened to me. I've got to deal with them. Oftentimes as issues, I've got to react and solve it because I got surprised. The second word in the pairing says whether or not you can know it or not. So there's certain things that we cannot predict in the future. We don't know what weather is going to be like. We don't know if people are going to like our product necessarily in the marketplace. But what I'm trying to look at is, are there things in that quadrant or those areas of unknown that I could start to validate and therefore have a better sense of control because I can proactively manage them? So if it has known in the second, that means I could or should have known, I could have validated this. Question is whether I did. So you'll see my little phrases up here that says, essentially your upper left quadrant is what we're going to call facts. And it's a fact this time. This means I've talked about it ahead of time. I know it, and I've already validated it. The upper right quadrant is I know I don't know, meaning I'm talking about it ahead of time, but I don't know what the answer is. I haven't validated it, or maybe I can't. Those are often going to be risks when we look at decisions. And these bottom two, as I mentioned, are issues. But the difference between these two is that first, in this bottom left, I know I don't know, but somebody else does, and they ain't telling. So what that usually happens is when another department, another group in your organization knew certain piece of information, but either weren't asked or they were asked, but they didn't offer it up and respond. And now you're in the middle of doing your work and you find out there's a huge surprise. I didn't realize I needed to use this form, and it slows your team down. That's an issue. But the question is, in the future, do I learn from that? And this is where lessons learned happen. And can I next time make sure that next time I need to do this type of work, can I move it up to here? Meaning I don't get surprised by it. I'm planning for it. It's part of my plan. And bottom right is the who would have thunk it. In risk management, this is what we sometimes refer to as a black swan. Didn't talk about it, big impact, really big surprise, never would have seen that coming. The challenge on that one in the future is, could it happen again? And if so, can I move it up here into my known unknown where it becomes a risk that I can plan for to either mitigate or respond to for contingency? So let's walk through the exercise to kind of give you a sense of how this works. So I'm going to have my team come up with information needs that they have. They're going to write one item per sticky note, like I mentioned. So let's say that one of them wrote on a project team that the lead time for the piece of equipment that we need to buy and we're ultimately going to construct or install is 6 weeks. And I need you, leader, to make a decision right now. Well, my first question is, Do we know this or not? And let's say the team says, yeah, we've actually checked with the vendor. We've confirmed that the lead time for that is 6 weeks. Well, in that case, when I look at my 4 quadrants, I would expect for them to have put it here. It's a fact. We're talking about it ahead of time and they validated it. Now, in that same example, though, if they had said, well, I think it's 6 weeks because last time on my project, it was 6 weeks. Well, at that point, it's not a fact. It's a here. It's I don't know the answer for sure. I'm talking about it ahead of time. But my question as a leader back to that individual, if this was a really important 6 weeks, like we're building a timeline or commitments with customers off of that, my question back is, can you call the vendor and validate? Can we get that answer this afternoon? And that might drive certain decision-making or implications because of the answer. If they came back and said, well, no, the answer is actually 12 weeks. Now I've got a different host of challenges that I've got to work through with my customer, with my team. If they came back and said, well, no, it's only about 4 weeks, they've said now, then that may give me a little more time before I want to make the decision about should you go ahead and place that purchase order. So let's assume that they did say, nope, we validated, it's a fact. Then another one that they have, let's say, is going to be, we're going to start construction in January for this project, and that may result in 4 weather delay days for the month of January. Now, what that means is that they're going to go construct somewhere. You can't control the weather. So they are going to assume 4 days of delay due to weather in January. Maybe this is up in northern Canada, and they want to be, they're concerned about that. So they don't want to go too aggressive in their schedule and commit to a date because there is a risk that the weather is going to slow down construction. In that case, we're talking about it ahead of time. It's happening. And I cannot control the weather. I'm not going to know how many days of delay there might have been until really I'm at the end of January. So I've put it in the upper right quadrant. Now, the bottom 2 quadrants, as I mentioned earlier, these are things we didn't talk about. Up here, I can do something with these. I'm asking my team, and I'm trying to decide as a leader, do I want to make a decision today or not? Down here, they've happened after the fact, after we already met, after we planned. So I'm going to give you an example of that. So one of my favorites is the unknown knowns, because what that says is, again, some other group knew about it, and I could have known about it, but I didn't know about it. And now I'm dealing with the ramifications of that issue. So an example of that is there are new finance reporting requirements, but the finance team didn't share those with us ahead of time. And that says, okay, now I've got to react. I've got to go deal with whatever those needs are. But what I want to do is I want to prevent that from happening in the future. And this is a great way as a leader, by the way, to use this technique to challenge your teams to improve their performance. Because what I'm going to ask is, okay, guys, on the next project, yeah, that happened to us. We had to deal with it. Are you making sure that you're including them on the next time? And this becomes a lessons learned or corrective action. So right now, it's happened to us. It's painful. We're just dealing with it as an issue. Bottom right. The bottom right is a catastrophic or could be a big issue for us because we didn't think about it. So here's one. A massive hurricane hits the city where the equipment is being manufactured. Who would have thunk it? I didn't think about it. I didn't plan on it. I didn't expect that. That at that point now is an issue I have to deal with. The question is, on my next time of doing this, also I could ask, could this happen again? And if it does, do we want to put any kind of mitigation or contingency plans in place? So this is the known knowns assumption management exercise. I use this to quickly determine where I feel like the team is not really sure with what's a fact, what is still kind of out there as an assumption, and what should we be talking about. It allows you to understand what they could take action on and anything that's in this quadrant that I can try to move over and validate because it's important for success or for my decision. I want to say to the team, when can I know that? I will actually track those kind of items sometimes in my team conversations. You told me you were going to go validate these 5 items. Where are we in that validation? And how does that relate now to the timeline? So that's the assumptions management known knowns exercise. I hope you enjoy that power play. Apply it with your team, sticky notes, flip chart or whiteboard, and you're good to go. Thank you.